Right, today I'm going to do a question. So basically, an Ask Uncle Lee. This actually came through from Alexius Scholius, and I thought it was quite good. It is quite lengthy. There's some explanation before the questions themselves, and then it goes into three questions. So let me read through that, and you can get the background, and then we'll hop into the questions. Um, I think I have a very curious topic, but I'm not certain if it is really something, say, popular, something many people encounter in their practice. So please consider this a question to include in your video topics, only if you feel like it is worth it, or you already have encountered it, and therefore it is a comfortable question to answer. So we're going to include it because I thought it was worth it. I haven't reread the questions yet, so this might be kind of a surprise. Who knows? Let's see what I can come up with anyway in answer. All right. So Alexius said, "I like my hobbies. At different times, they include writing short stories and poems, drawing, etc. Of course, with such hobbies, I used to develop certain fictional characters and get attached to them. They are a part of our psyche. After all, they get born from our understanding of our lives and they seem to develop with us too. Not completely the same as us and not completely something separate from us too. Recently, I've noticed a trend that there are certain characters that start feeling like they carry some power and identity of their own with them, um, which might be comparable to that of the spirits, gods, and daemons I work with. I seem to have proven it further in my case when experimenting with what I call the divine vessel technique, where, as a part of devotional practice, you meditate, visualizing spirits uniting with you and sharing with you their aspects you wish to learn and trying to basically emulate some better behavior and role model or alter ego during everyday routine. It works with the gods, and with most minor differences, it works with these characters. I think that's a brilliant method. We'll probably get back to that just now and discuss that a little bit further. So here's the questions. Would it be right to assume any of the next scenarios could potentially be true? Oh, sorry, it was not three questions, it's three scenarios. One, these are spirits who have contacted us a while ago and then just developed our connection and their information so we can efficiently work now. Or two, these are my characters who were partially inspired by spirits and they are just an icon, some kind of sigil, N and name combination they use for me personally. Or three, they are just my characters who were created and developed by me, but as I put more energy and love into them, they become a bit more autonomous and now can be considered familiars, tulpas, mini egregores, something like this. So in answer to which one of those would actually best suit this scenario, all of them, actually. It's all paradoxical, what can we say? Um, so, you know, to say which kind of entity it is, whether it's some kind of external entity like a god or a daemon or an angel or whatever, that is influencing you, you've brought that energy into yourself, or whether it's a combination of that and these let's call them fictional characters that you've created, or whether it's just purely these fictional characters that have become these servitors, familiars, tulpas, etc., etc. Um, I don't think it really matters, and you know, it is kind of important. You know, we kind of want to analyze things all the time, and in some cases, it's important to do that to analyze what's going on, to try and figure out what all of this means. You know, that's what we kind of do. But I think when it comes to something, especially something like this, don't get too hung up on putting everything in a box. And it's just something we tend to do. It's just kind of a natural thing for humans, especially Western. westernized humans is to kind of categorize everything, make sure you've got it in its proper box. We can define it properly, and it has to be only in one. It can't be in multiple boxes, because then it's not true. Um, but we have to understand that all of these things are true at the same time, and this is the paradox of magic and witchcraft. You can't categorize them, force them into one box only. They are all things at the same time. So, and the reason why I'm doing this particular question or particular topic that was brought up by Alexios is because it becomes very important and very curious about where these entities come from. Are they our own creations, or are they external entities that we're actually interacting with? And depending on how that gets answered, does it matter? Does it actually matter? The main thing is, does it work? Are you getting the results? These entities, whatever they are that you're interacting with, are they bringing you what you need? Are they helping? If the answer to all of that is yes, then it doesn't matter where they come from or what they are. It's nice to categorize them, to try and define them in some way, but at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter. And you're probably going to end up driving yourself insane, because you'll be going from one thing to the next. I did this myself for years, in regards to um, are the gods external entities from us, or are they internal? Are they part of our own psyche, part of who we are? And I kept going back and forth between one and the other for years. And eventually I realized that both are actually correct. I had to stop this kind of, one truth fits all type thing, or, there's only one way to answer a question. That type of thinking. I had to try and stop that and break myself away from it, because I realized that there's more than one way you can answer a question, especially in witchcraft and magic. Um, so, yeah, does it matter? I don't think it does, really. But it is a very interesting thing. As it also gets me thinking of the imaginary friends we had as children. But yeah, so are these entities just fantasies, imaginings, or are they actual real entities external from us? Um, are they both? Does it matter? These are the questions we really need to be asking. But yeah, to get back to the actual topic itself, yeah, through Alexia said, through their hobbies, particularly in terms of creating fictional characters. They are parts of our own psyche. They come from us, they are birthed from us, they are parts of who we are. And sometimes those fictional characters become supportive, sometimes they become adversarial, in order to help us, to guide us, to heal us. And all of these fictional characters that we create in our minds become very, very important aspects. And the more we give them, the more we work with them, the more real they become, the more tangible they become. This is the same way, the same process we take in creating servitors, that become these entities, and they become individual entities. They can become sentient, thinking beings. Um, it's the same process. So there's no reason why these fictional characters that we create in our minds can become more than we actually originally intended them to be. They can become companions, friends, as I said, adversaries in some cases. We do tend to see this quite often with people who are having poltergeist activity in their home. And usually, what happens in a situation like this is the first question becomes, is there a teenager in the house? Because teenagers they generate so much energy with the changes in life and everything else, that they actually can create poltergeist activity. It's one of the main causes for poltergeist activities in a home. Another reason could be that the person's home is just really messy and they're piling up a load of rubbish in one room and it becomes toxic. Fumes get created and they just start hallucinating. But um, if we eliminate all of those, then there's a large. We then ask the question: is there a person in the home who has been or is being abused? And quite often, if the answer to that is yes, then the person is actually creating a thought form. And it's a bit of an unfortunate thought form because quite often the person who probably hasn't had therapy tends to blame themselves for all of the abuse that happened. And what they do, especially if the abuser has been removed, they will create the abuser and they create a thought form in order to antagonize them. And this thought form will then start moving things around, will start whispering in their ears, will start abusing them in various ways because they sometimes, as I said, it's an unfortunate case where they haven't had the therapy and they believe they are to blame for it, and therefore, if the abuser has been removed from the environment, they need they create the abuser so that they can continue because it becomes the norm for them. Um, it really is a horrible, unfortunate circumstance, but it's a reality in some cases. So, in a situation like that where a person can create a thought, a being from their own mind, from their own thoughts, that can actually physically move things. This isn't fantastical imaginings of a child. Or it can be. I mean, children are incredibly powerful, absolutely incredibly powerful, and they can create these things as well. Um, but, this is, I think we kind of tend to think it's just a thought and therefore, it doesn't really have much power. Thoughts are immense, they are potent. So yeah, when it comes to something like this, where you're creating fictional characters, and if you keep feeding them, you keep thinking about them, you keep interacting with them, they're going to become beings. The other part of this I actually wanted to talk about was that divine vessel technique, which I love it, it's great. Now, I like this personally because I work with the energy model. So when I'm working with entities, whether they are maybe considered external to myself or internal, it doesn't really matter. But they hold a particular vibrational state, all right? They vibrate at a particular frequency. And it's quite often that frequency that I want in order to achieve something. Just want to read through that bit again because there was some wording here. As a part of you meditate, visualizing spirits uniting with you and sharing with you their aspects you wish to learn, and trying to basically emulate some better behavior. So, what happens in my own particular circumstance, and the way I explain it regarding the working with spirits within the energy model, not particularly the spirit model, but the energy model, is that we call that spirit to us in order to cause ourselves to resonate at that particular frequency, at that vibrate at that particular frequency, so that we can then, as Alexius mentioned here, um, taking on the aspects you wish to learn and trying to basically emulate some better behavior. So, if you want to achieve something, whatever it is, you call the spirit, and you cause your own frequency to start to resonate at the same frequency as the spirit, and this changes your own vibrational state, so that you can go do whatever it is you want to do to emulate the spirit, and then you can go and achieve it. So I thought this whole post was really, really interesting, which is why I wanted to talk about it more. These are obviously things I've mentioned in the past, but they're worth mentioning or talking about over and over and over again because I think they're very important. But anyway, that brings me to the end of that little discussion. And thank you, Alexius, for that particular post comment. and question. It was fantastic. Loved it. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one for now. Bye bye.